Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we're gonna do this stitch, a very easy stitch. If you want to do I don't know, a shawl, a wrap, something for summer, open work, it's like a mesh. The stitch is reversible, it's very easy, and it's just one row repeat, that's it. So if you like, I'm sure you can find something to do with this. Okay, for this stitch we're gonna chain even numbers. So I have here 14 chains, and after you chain the even numbers, we're gonna skip the first 2 chains from the hook, 1, 2, and into the third chain from the hook we're gonna do a single crochet, and this row is gonna be single crochet in each chain. So you move to the next chain, single crochet, and so on. I think for a blouse or a top when it's really hot, this might be nice. You can make a baby blanket, but well, for a baby blanket, unless you do it with a thicker yarn, then it's going to be a little bit warmer, even for summer. But this is quite open work. Can make a summer scarf. So in the last chain we're gonna do a single crochet, and like I said, this stitch has one row repeat. So we're gonna chain 3 now. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and now yarn over the hook twice. We're gonna go into the first stitch here, and we're gonna do a treble. So this stitch is going to be worked only with trebles. So you're going to pull the yarn to the first 2 loops, pull the yarn to the next 2, pull the yarn to the last 2, yarn over the hook twice. We're going to skip the next stitch, and into the next we're going to do a treble, yarn over the hook twice, and we're gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped, but from behind. It's like this. You go and you pick that stitch, pull up a loop, and then pass the yarn to the first 2 loops, next 2, and the last 2. It's like, well, what, cross trebles. So again, we're gonna skip the next stitch, and into the next a treble. Pass the yarn to the first 2 loops, next 2, last 2, and you go back to the stitch that we skipped, pick it up, and then pull up a loop, and then pull the yarn to the first 2 loops, next 2, and next 2, yarn over the hook twice, and we're going to repeat like this until we finish the row. Skip the next stitch, and into the next we do the same, a treble, and we're gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped from behind, and we're gonna do a treble. It's gonna look like this. So skip the next stitch, and into the next we do the same. We go back to the stitch that we skipped, and so on. So we're going to be left with 3 stitches at the end, 1, 2, and the third one. We're going to skip the next stitch, and into the next we're going to do the same, a treble, and we go back to the stitch that we skipped and do a treble, and now at the end with the last stitch, yarn over the hook twice. We're gonna go in there into the last stitch, and we're gonna do in there 2 trebles. So the first treble, and we're gonna go back again for the second one. It's the same way we started with 2 trebles, well, 3 chains and a treble. It's gonna look like this. Okay, now we're gonna chain 3. So this is gonna be, this row that we start now is gonna be the row that we do on and on and on. So after you chain 3 chains, yarn over the hook twice, and we have the first stitch here, in which we're gonna go and do a treble. And this is gonna be the row that we're gonna repeat. So now we're gonna skip the next stitch. Well, we skip this one, and we're gonna skip the second one. We're gonna work into the stitches from the trebles from the previous row. So you skip this treble and you go into the next one. Gonna do a treble, and then we're gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped, the first treble. And then we're gonna skip the next stitch and into the next. Gonna do a treble. We're gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped, and this is the stitch. I think it looks nice, for example, if you use, like I'm using now, 3.0 millimeter crochet hook. You can, I think it looks nice with the thinner yarn or the crochet hook that you might use, 2.5 millimeter crochet hook or 3.0 millimeter crochet hook. But if you want to do a blanket, a thicker one, and use thicker yarn, then we're gonna use a bigger crochet hook. So you skip the next stitch and into the next, a treble, and I'm gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped, and we're gonna skip the next and into the next, a treble, and then we're gonna go back to the stitch that we skipped from behind, pass the yarn to the first 2 loops, next 2 and the last 2, yarn over the hook twice, and at the end we have the last stitch here. So we're gonna go into that stitch and we're gonna do 2 trebles in there. So there is the stitch, so 1 more treble. It's looking like this. It's really nice and goes fast, builds up really fast with this. And now you're gonna chain 3 and you're gonna repeat the row. You're gonna do a treble into the first stitch, and then you're gonna skip the next stitch, you're gonna skip the next, and you're gonna go into the third, let's say. So you skip 1, 2, 3, and into the fourth you're gonna do a treble, and you're gonna go back to this one to do a treble, and at the end you have the last stitch right here, and you're gonna do 2 trebles in there. So this is the stitch. Well, if you like and you think you can find some project to do with this, give it a try, and it's 1 row repeat. Well, this is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. Well, have a good day. Bye bye.